Excuse me a little bit. I'm trying to get a couple of things situated in my doggone place because it is taking forever. It is taking forever. But that happens when you have um, a lot of things to do, and you have a lot of things going on, and a lot of things are expanding. You know, to whom much is given, much is required. So I definitely want to be grateful and thankful for that. Oh my goodness. Hold on. I forgot. Because I had to write this down as I was going through what I was going through. Today I was getting myself, they were having a lead paint test in the loft that I live in. So they were like randomly choosing people, and they so happened to choose mine. But they used my loft a lot because it is one of the largest and most spacious, so it's always used for a lot of stuff. So, or when people want to see things or something like that, so, and it's no biggie. But anywho, as they were going through and looking for the lead, I was like so focused on, they were talking about how nice my place was, how they like the furniture, you know, it's got a nice taste, and they're like, you know, you got kind of a nice, you know, very eclectic expensive taste, and I'm like, oh, well, thank you, but then I just kept complaining about little stuff, like I was cleaning, I was washing clothes, as you can see over there, you see all those clothes? Yeah, so I was washing my clothes, and not only that, I was washing, like, my makeup tools, things like that. I was sanitizing them, because we have all that in our apartments and stuff. So, and everybody was like, the people that were here, they were like, oh my goodness, like, you should just take the compliment. Like, why are you dwelling on the little stuff? That's just minor stuff. Like, we understand that that's normal life. You know, why are you dwelling on the small things? And I was like, you know what? I had to take a step back, and I'm like, you know what? I really do need to stop doing that. Like, I had to catch myself. So, I was reading, Exodus, the book of Exodus. I've been reading that a lot, and God has been putting it on my heart to read it a lot. Not only that, I was reading Luke, I think 1 and 34 again, and I can't remember, I think it was Ezekiel 4, but it was talking about, I'll be able to like put it down at the bottom, but it was talking about that last one that I remember, it was talking about the candlesticks, and you know, one was on the right side, the bowls and the candlesticks and the pillars, and it was talking about the parts of Revelation and stuff like that. But gosh, I can't even remember. It's gonna come up to me, and when it does, I'll definitely post it in there. Also, with that, with Exodus, the book of Exodus, it started making me recant and go back on. I got a little sore on my arm. What kind of stuff is that? I had to go back. It made me go back and think about when God took his people out of Egypt from the slave master Pharaoh, and they went through all this stuff, and God did all these wonders, parted the Red Sea. He told them, you know, he gave them wealth. He gave them transferred the wealth from the Egyptians and the Phoenicians to them, you know, and took them out of that land. Not only took them out of that land, gave them a guarantee of a promised land. And then not only that, he fed them manna. So, and the thing that they couldn't focus on, they kept focused on why is it taking so long? If God is who he says he is, you know, what is taking them so long? And based off of their past, if back then we were eating meat, you know, the Egyptians, they ate lots of stuff, even though lots of delectable things, you know, we're just eating manna, you know, and as you read it, and I'm sure God probably was like, you know, you're eating heavens. You're eating angels' food. You're not eating. It's something that is on a whole higher level. I've isolated you and gave you manna when you're so focused on what you had in the past that you can't appreciate what you have right now. So I was like, Lord, you know what, God, please forgive me. Thank you, God. Thank you for this opportunity, because there was a time that I did not have a home. Not only that, there was a time that I did have a home, and it was not up to standards. And I mean, it was no way. I mean, even my credit score started going down. It was just craziness. Like, I couldn't even believe it. It was just so much oppression, so much things that in the natural realm you would have thought should have never happened, but God delivered me from it. And not only did he put me in a nice place, he put me in the biggest one that they have. and not only that, I mean, like, it's just overflowing blessings, overflowing. And I'm sitting here talking about a freaking when the lead inspector comes, talking about, oh, I can't believe I have all these clothes, laying here and, tidying up. And all the people can see is how nice my place really is, how nice my furniture is, how nice I set up my plants and, things like that, because I love plants. This room doesn't have a lot of plants, but you'll see a couple of them, but not too much. But I love a lot of earthy plants and all that. So, so I was just like, you know what, God, like, please forgive me. Like, sometimes we get into that whole space. Another thing that made me think about that Exodus feeling is because I had posted a video about, like, a couple of weeks ago about, what I went through and what I've experienced. And I'm trying to tell people what's going on, but I'm so ecstatic, and I'm just explaining it the best way that I can. And there were some people that were like, you know what, you're doing too much. You're doing this. And it's like, well, have you? Can you? And God got to the point and showed me, like, no, first of all, it took me a good minute to come out and just speak about what was going on, because it was so erratic, and I went to a place of isolation, and I thought it was from the enemy, but it actually was God. It was like things that I couldn't explain. If I could explain to the people that were surrounding me, they would think that I was crazy. Now as they see and they're going through their situation, now they're able to understand it. But before then, a lot of people just can't. So, I wanted to talk about how God, and this is my testimony, this is not, just putting everybody else things out. When God gives me stuff, for the most part, usually he uses me. He uses me either by observation or most of the time through experience. I literally had to go through this, and it was no process. I couldn't go around it. I couldn't do anything. Just like the Egyptians, they could not cross. They couldn't pass the Red Sea by a boat. They couldn't go and swim underwater because they didn't have the tools for it. They couldn't go around it because they would get caught, and they were going against chariots. They were going against something that was greater than them, greater than what they had. So the only way that they can got through is through God opening that Red Sea and going through the Red Sea. And because they went through the Red Sea, it was able to not only get them to the other side, but prevent the enemies from coming in and attacking their blessings. So that is the same exact thing that I want to talk about right now. And I did write down some things because people are like, oh, you're rambling, blah, blah, this. But I wanted to write some things down because I know sometimes I do get a little lengthy and a little long-winded, and these points are something that I know is going to help a lot of people, and God is bringing me out. If you're listening to this, either you're coming out of it, you're going through it, or you're anticipating your time is about to come. It's preparing you. Like I said, I didn't understand it when I was seeing people telling me stuff, and I was like, what the heck? Like, this sounds weird, but it sounded like I needed to hear it, and later on it did. Okay, so don't second guess it. This is not the time to second guess or backtrack. I was backtracking too, like to the point where I would slow down and I would just stop afterwards, because I've been going so hard for years. And a lot of people don't look at you, but God will let you know when your time is your time. Everyone has that time in that season when you're supposed to bloom, and everyone's bloom season is different, just like the different flowers. So just remember that. But I did want to talk about the three things about getting to a higher place, okay? When you go through these things, I want you to look at it. Every time we look at things, we look at it good and bad. Do not look at it as good and bad. I learned to look at it as just a situation. It's just a process. Whether whether it feels good or bad. When we think about things that's good and bad, we think of emotions. And, God tells us to get out of our emotions, in order to get to a higher place, you have to let go of your emotions and things that are, that hinders you. And the first thing that happens is that you become isolated. And how you become isolated is either you start noticing that the things that are surrounding you are no longer plausible to your lifestyle. The things that you used to accept is no longer acceptable, okay? The things that you used to think were great and good are no longer feasible for you. That is the one thing when it deals with isolation, because God will bring it to your recollection. He will open your eyes and see, like, okay, this might have been something good in the past, but right now it's not working for me, and it's becoming a crutch. It's becoming a hindrance. I had to deal with that living in unsafe conditions, because you're so used to it with society just treating a lot of people of color, not only African Americans, but Latinos, a lot of people unfairly, unjustly, even when they're doing the wrong thing. So I got conditioned in my mind to expect, oh, this is only supposed to happen to this unless you go and you bow down and you do this, And I was like, I don't feel like I'm not going to bow down anyone or kiss anyone's butt or change who I am to fit. So that was one thing. The second one is when you don't notice that you have a gift, but everyone around you notices and they treat you different. You just start noticing that they're being a little snippy at you now. They're being a little bit more standoffish. They're hiding things that they normally would not hide from you. They're hiding from you. They're excluding you from things. You're going to think that it's just like, what am I doing? Are they being mean? It's not that. Don't think of that. It's just God calling you to say that this place is no longer feasible for me. And during this isolation period, those were the two things that I had to deal with, those two things. During that isolation period, God got me closer to Him. He got me to listen to His Word, not look on outside. There were a lot of things, on, especially like television, because I had gotten a job in the media, and because I knew a little bit about it, even growing up, because I was around people who were in like radio, television, things like that. The older I got, the more I started understanding that a lot of that stuff was not true. And if you believe everything that you see, automatically I'll tell you this: our minds are designed for us to remember visually more than what we hear. So if you see things that are not right and you keep seeing them, it breaks down your subconscious to accept it. That's just like, how people say, I don't want to use the homosexual thing, but that's a real good one. But you start saying like, okay, dairy is really bad for you. You know that dairy clogs you up, even though it tastes good. But they'll have a lot of advertisers, and they'll say, this dairy is made from 100% milk, and it's from natural cows, and this and that. And doggone well, most of them have those little pumps on them. We rarely have cows in the United States that are grass fed who don't have those systematic pumps on the side of them, meaning that they don't squeeze, the milk comes out of their side and not their udders. We have a lot of dairy farms, especially in this state. But like I said, most of them are not grass-fed, and they're not natural, meaning that they don't churn their own milk. Their stomachs don't produce and churn the milk. It's a machine that's in their stomach, and it pulls it out. It pulls it out with these suctions. So, so then you'll sit there, you'll look on TV, they're giving you all these advertisements, and you know this. You know all this. You're like, well, every time I drink milk, this is kind of bad. They're not giving me the milk that they're talking about. But eventually you start listening, and after a couple of months and a year, you're like, well, I might as well go get it. It's breaking down your psyche to say that it is okay, even though I know that it is killing me, even though I know that it is not healthy for me. I'm going to go and I'm going to take I'm going to take this, and I'm going to let it become a part of me. So with that, and it ends up breaking down and messing you up or whatever. So that's my example of that. So when you start seeing, back to those friends, if you start seeing those friends, isolating you, putting you down, saying all this other stuff, don't take it personal. I took it personal for a good minute until God opened my eyes some more and started seeing that this process was necessary. It was necessary for your growth, because a lot of people saw good things in you. You just didn't see. See, the process is not with them. If you get out of your emotions and you get out of your head and you get out of those things, you'll see that the process was dealing with you. I'm dealing with them with their own journey, but I'm dealing with you with the process of believing in yourself and getting yourself together. So, yeah. So, that was my two instances with the isolation. And then confirmation for that was talking about the Exodus when they were in the desert, they were in the wilderness for 40 years, which only should have took 42 or 32 days, no, 40 days. But because of their unwillingness and they're backtracking, they're backpedaling instead of moving forward, it kept going them and making them go in circles. And that's the same thing that we do in everyday life, just like with the milk. You're saying, okay, you know that it's bad, but that's all we got, and we got to eat cereal. I love cereal, Why try almond milk, cashew milk, something, rice milk. There's a lot of other alternatives. No, I'm going to stick with this, It's cheaper. It's, not understanding that once you get rid of it, you're going to start seeing that your hormones are going to balance, things like that. So that's the same thing. So to get to the higher place, the first thing God does is isolates you. He makes you get closer to Him, and you start being able to see what is true and what is not, and what is your place in that. See, once you know who you are and what your place is in the world, it's nothing that anyone can do to take that from you. You have such a newfound, it's almost like, I'm going to tell you this, it's like salt. Like we are the salt of the world. We're supposed to be seasoning it up like Lawry's. I always say that. But, yeah, we are the salt. So when you know who you are, you have it's like a light shines in you. You shine really bright, and a lot of people will notice. They might not notice that they might not fully understand that you know who you are, but it comes out as confidence. It just comes out with a good self-knowing. People know something's about you. Something is special. Something is igniting, It's just you come to the agreement and the alignment of God, of what He has said and who and what you are. So you bring you're able to bring a more in-depth contribution and more fulfillment into what your assignment is on this planet. So after that, after going through all that, and you know you go through your hardships, the people doing backwards things, because there were some people who didn't make it to the promised land in Exodus, and then when they came out, now the younger kids, they all did because they believed they didn't have any hindrances about they were able to let go, and some of the older people too, they were able to let go of the old habits and the old things that kept them bottom. But some of those people did not, and they were left in the wilderness, and that's just like this whole place. I almost got left, and I will tell you this, like, I'm telling you this is because I'm being transparent, I'm being honest, and I know there are some people there that are looking like, God told me to do this, and I got scared, and this happened. I don't want you to stop. God doesn't want you to stop. He's bringing this to your remembrance to say, okay, yes, we know that you got fearful, but you know what? I've overcome fear. I gave you a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. So, and you are conquerors. Because of that, I need you to get back on that battlefield. I need you to get back up and do what I called you to do. So after they got out, they experienced, a lot of those people ended up with more wealth because some of those people died. They all left with wealth. They all just didn't end. They just all didn't end up with wealth because some of them didn't make it to the promised land. So some of the things that they carried, the people who died in the wilderness had as well, it transferred over to the people who were faithful and consistent and made it through the wilderness. And this is the same thing that God was telling me. Once I got to that higher place, there were people that were from my past, the people that were around me that were like, come on, I need you, do this, do that. And they were trying to pull me down. People were saying they're trying to pull me down. They were trying to pull me down spiritually to be at the same level that they're at. A lot of people are going to try to put you back in that emotional state. I'm feeling this way because you went through this. I want to know, but I'm feeling this way, so I need you. We got to be the same way. And if we're the same way, then I know I can go do this. No. So you have to be careful with that. But with that, when you get in that higher place and you're there for a minute, you start seeing for yourself. You start seeing things for yourself, and you start understanding. And then you'll start seeing the other traits that people around you who used to be around you are trying to get you back into. The first one was focusing on the smaller things. Just like I talked about earlier, my mindset, okay, I believe my mindset is renewed. Sometimes I have setbacks, it's just human mind. When those inspectors came, I wasn't talking about thank God for, your compliments, thank God for allowing someone to come in and, for the grace. I was thinking about the smaller things. Oh my God, I have so much laundry, I have so much things. When there are people, and it used to be me, that did not have a roof over their head, So that's the first thing. The enemy will use this. And it's not just the people that he's using our enemies. That's not always it. We only have one enemy, and that's the devil. So anywho, the second one is that when you get to a higher ground, you're going to start noticing that there are going to be some people that are going to put you, they're going to try to focus and bring light to your past. Like, I know this person, and she used to be this. Belle used to cuss somebody out in a second. She would go and break down somebody, like, tear them down in a second. She used to do this. She used to do that, And with that, the only thing you can do with that is to acknowledge it. Yeah, that was me, but that is no longer me. And some people are not going to be able to grasp that and understand that. That's just like the wilderness. Some people are not going to grasp and understand that you are in a higher place now. The former you has gone away. The former you has gone away. And that's the only place. Some of those people are that's the only person that they know. Some people with me, that's the only Belle that they know. The person that was struggling. They didn't even know when I was, okay or looking okay. I'm gonna say looking okay when I was doing as what the world says very well before I went through this tribulation. They just saw um, the struggling part, and sometimes that's all they need to see. Some of those people, that's all they need to see because they're never, and God will let you know that some of those people, that's all they needed to see because they're never going to be able to comprehend um, the new you. They're not going to be able to receive it. They're not going to be able to understand it. So that is why they don't have it. Other people are just not only that, some people are just out to get you. You know, they see that, you know, they want you to do better, but they see that that's just like the Egyptians. You know, they didn't want their slaves to be like, you know, they did cruel things to them, but at the same time they didn't want them. They still had food. Think about when the guy in the wilderness was talking about they had nice food. You know, people think about slavery when they say, oh, they gave them the bottom of this. No, when people try to enslave you, they give you the best. They try to give you really good things because they want to give you the illusion that you are free, the illusion that it is comfortable and it's feasible. So some of those people are going to see that you are no longer able or you're no longer willing to accept the little crumbs that they're giving you, or you're no longer willing to compromise your dignity and your respect just by getting great food or getting material things. You're no longer willing to compromise the things of God because of that, and they're gonna get angry. They're gonna say, okay, well, you know, now I can't control them. You know, now I got to bring something up that doesn't look good, you know, so be careful of that. The third one is going to be with self-infliction, and this is the thing that I have to deal with getting higher. Sometimes we let those seeds, we'll start laughing at it, and this was the biggest thing that happened to me. A lot of people will say a lot of negative things, and a lot of things that you don't believe, and a lot of things that they should not say. Some of it is intentional and some of it is not. But whether they made it intentional or not does not matter. If you focus on what people believe you are, it's going to change your perception of who you truly are and what you believe and what you're called to be. And because of that, you will lose a lot of opportunities. You have to think about it like this. And excuse my language. I had a person that I went through some hardships with, but she was so encouraging for me to a point. She would say, you know what, opinions are like buttholes. Everyone has one, even though we know everyone doesn't, but most people have one. So, and that is true. You know, what someone else believes you are does not dictate who you are. You know, they are not God. They are not your creator. They did not create you. So don't sit there and wallow when people say, oh, well, you're on YouTube and maybe you should fix your hair. Maybe you should do this. Maybe you should, you know, which some of that might be helpful. I'm not saying like criticism can't be helpful. Some of that stuff is helpful, but a lot of that stuff you can't control what people believe or what they feel you should do, because if you do everything that you know every person wanted you to do, you will be them. You will be not taking your mindset. You'll be going your mindset and giving it to them. And you know what? If they believe that much so hard about certain things, then they would do it themselves. And it bothers them that much, they would do it themselves. Or they would make an attempt not to even go and see you when you're on your channel. So you have to do that. Don't focus on what people believe you to be. When I was going, another example is when I started volunteering, and I was going through my hardships and I was in the shelter. A lot of people didn't even know that I was Miss Indiana during that time. A lot of people, not only that, they just thought I was on drugs, some kind of high-end prostitute. I mean, when I say they thought I was a high-end prostitute, they thought I was a high-end prostitute. A lot of people thought that I had some mental condition myself because I would constantly want to go and serve, and they're like, don't you have something else to do? Don't you want to? This is my job. This is what I'm called to do. So I find pleasure in it, as you would think, most people think it's a chore or something nice to do. It brings me joy. It brings me joy. It brings gladness to my heart to serve and to work as a shelter because it's something that God has created me to do. So, and that's something that they don't know. God put those things in your heart, not man. So, like I said, do not focus on what people believe. People believe you to do. You might not be like everyone else. And the reason why I made this channel and I don't pre-record and all that, for the most part, is because there are a lot of people who prep and prepare, and then people are looking like, gosh, that is true. And it's nothing wrong with preparing because God is a time and a place for everything, and God wants things decent and with decency and in order. I talk about that a lot because it's true. However, sometimes people can't be reached with all of the extras. Sometimes if you see. And this is what God was showing me. I'm not saying that they're not reaching people because obviously these people are. There are a lot of people that are polished that record their stuff, and I listen to them every day faithfully. I believe God is working through them, but that's not my agenda. That's not what God has placed on my heart. I put this on here and I show my face and who I am and how I look and stuff like that because God opened my heart to let me know that there are people that are just like you who thinking that they are not good enough, they are not worthy enough, they are not like everyone else, and they don't have the tools for that, and that's why they can't do what I called them to do. But little do they know is that all they have to do is start. All they have to do is start. I have everything that they need is inside of them. I place inside of them. And once they ignite me inside of them, then I will lead them and I will guide them into the right directions and the paths of their lives. I will direct you into the people, places, and things that you need to go to achieve the calling that I have assigned on your life. So, and it doesn't matter if you have a dime or not. It doesn't have, because you know what? It's not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, by God's spirit, that you're going to be able to go and navigate, and you're going to do this. And then it's going to create, and you know what's going to happen? It's going to take a lot of, when I acknowledged that, it took a lot of pressure off of me because I was seeing the things that God was telling me, and I was like, what? I want to do my part. What is my part? What is my part? What is my part? I have to do it. I have to do it. And God is saying, just sit back and listen and just follow. You don't have to do anything extra. You don't have to go and do this because it's not by your might and not by power. When you think about might and power, it's bringing it back to emotions. And like I said, God says, I'm dealing on a higher realm. See, the emotions are soulish. So that is the secondary level. God is dealing with the spirit of a man. He's dealing with the spirit, his spirit, and he's trying to give you that comfort. He's trying to give you that relief. When God takes care and he puts something in you, it's his duty. It is his job to fulfill it. I promise you, I used to be like, well, I got to do my part and this ain't going to work. No, God leans, he'll do it. Yes, he gives you certain things to do, but you don't have to go extra. Even when you fall, he'll pick you up and he'll make it whole. So, that is my view on getting higher, okay? And a lot of people are getting higher during this time because, and I know I have, because we've been going through a lot of these things through the process through years. My things has been through years, and I mean, this is something that I've always dreamed of and always thought of, even when I was a little kid, and it's coming to fruition. If you are listening to this and you're not going through it, I guarantee you, you're about to go through the process of it, or you know someone who is. God just does not let it happen. These things happen by accident. Nothing happens on accident or by chance. If you like the video, definitely like it. You don't feel like, if you like it and you don't feel like liking it, it is okay. My goal is not to have 12,000 million subscribers. If I do, cool. You know, if not, that's cool too. I'm just trying to be the messenger that God has bestowed me to be and to do what He has called me to do. Um, if someone can use it that you know, please share it. Hopefully, something I said or done will help you on your journey. Please stay tuned to Journey to Jerusalem, and thank you so, so much.